the good news for all you fans of the Gaming Lovers podcast. If you're listening to this, you are entitled to the next-gen upgrade of the Gaming Lovers podcast, provided you actually buy the physical media that this podcast is sourced on. You can then insert this into your podcast listening device and get free next-gen upgrade for the low, low price of $10.99.
Yes, 8K for your ears.
8K for your ears.
I don't even know how that would work. The Gaming Lovers Podcast with Brendo and Jem. G'day and welcome to the Gaming Lovers Podcast, episode 122. I'm Jem.
That's next gen, Jem, for those of you keeping track of where we are in the grand scale of the video game reality that we're living in. I'm Brendo.
Thank you.
Sorry, I should have finished all of the introductions before I rambled about that, but we are here. The next gen, we've touched it.
And now that you've made that sound gross, it is very exciting to be able to experience and also make a lot of our gaming friends very jealous.
Oh boy,
because we managed to snag some pre-orders and actually get these consoles in the first wave. Some earlier than expected. So last week we talked about PlayStation 5 because it arrived literally the day that we usually record, and I documented my experience with setting that up and it taking me all day. And then a few days later, the next addition to our Gaming Lovers household arrived again while Brendo was at work.
Yippee skippy.
Yay! So we're going to mix things up a little bit this episode.
What?
And instead of doing gaming goals first, we're going to bump that back a little bit. And we are going to recap my day setting up the Xbox Series X. Have a listen. So it was literally just earlier this week that the PlayStation 5 arrived. Like the day that we usually record our podcast, I got to unbox and set up, and it took me like almost all day to get it set up because I'm not used to doing it. So now that I've had to go with the PlayStation 5, I get to do it all over again with the Xbox Series X, which literally just showed up at our door. Surprisingly, they left it without me signing for it, which I'm a little shocked at because for something as expensive as this, I figured it would need a signature. But no, the guy must have been in a hurry because he dropped it off and was already driving away by the time I collected it. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm very, very excited. On the box, there's some lovely Halo artwork. So obviously that was supposed to be a launch title, but it I think got delayed because of this year being the suckfest that it is, with the exception in our household anyway of our first son being born. You know, I think that helps cancel out some of the terribleness of 2020. Just saying. You know, also getting some new consoles is pretty good. I'm happy with that. And trying to open a box with one hand is not smart. All right. Here we go. Try not to slice myself. Ooh, hang on. Upside down. That was nearly really bad. Okay. They weren't kidding how they said they tried to make it feel more like an experience unboxing this. Kind of like, I think people were comparing it to Apple products, ironically. Okay, goodness. He is a beefy boy. Even though he's smaller than the PlayStation 5, and I made him male for some reason, the Xbox Series X is, I would say, just as heavy, at least, as the PlayStation 5. At least it's what it feels like to me. All right, so we've got, obviously, the main tower and the controller. Oh, the battery fell out. Oh, yeah, we're going to have to get all those stupid accessories again. I wonder, though, because it's a very similar design. I wonder if the charger that we have for the Xbox One would still be compatible. Probably not, because that's how they make money with all those things. They are very similar, though, in design. Like, the stick the joysticks look just like a little bit smaller. But I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it. A lot of people love that design. I mean, the PlayStation controller looks a lot closer now to that. We've got the HDMI cable and the power plug. Little warranty, don't lose that. And, oh cool, there's like a little getting started cardboard thingamabob with just some basics. This is how you set this up, and a little QR code to get everything ready. AA batteries for the controller until we have rechargeable batteries, because if I can avoid using too many AA batteries, it gets expensive. Okay, where am I going to put you? Where is there room for you? Okie dokie, I think I've got everything plugged in. At least finding the right slots for the HDMI cable was a little bit faster this time around. So now I just need to see if it registers that I put the right thing in. Don't see it powering up. Come on. Let's not go through this again. All right. Xbox is on, so the power is working. Now the question is... It's alive! It's working! I did it! This was much faster than last time. Oh, thank goodness. I've learnt how to use it properly. Whew. Oh my word. The Xbox Series X definitely blends in with our entertainment system much better than the PlayStation. But I think that was kind of what PlayStation was going for, with being a kind of a standout piece. Okay, set up with the Xbox app. Oh, I have to get an app? That's irritating. Well, I better go do this. So the setup as far as getting everything plugged in went really smoothly this time, but I hit a snag in getting the controller to sync up with the console. It says press and hold, the logo button to turn on your controller, which I've done. And now it's just kind of flashing at me, but nothing's happening. Why aren't you working? Oh my goodness. Come on. Turn on. I just mash buttons. That's how things get fixed, right? If I mash buttons. Please. How long do I hold for? It's just flashing, and the little green circle on the screen is just pulsing and mocking me. Come on, man. I shouldn't need to be super close to the console to do this. And it's not like I have a cord to plug you in with. I might need to Google and see if this was an issue for anybody else. So it's looking like more and more that we have a faulty controller. I have tried everything. I've changed batteries and made sure that, the connectors aren't broken, nothing's damaged. So as far as that part is concerned, that's fine, right? The only other way I could fix this issue, from what I've managed to glean from Googling this, is giving the controller a software update, but it needs to connect to the Xbox first to do that. And I haven't even been able to fully finish setting up the Xbox Series X yet, because this is the final stage of, syncing up the controller, and it is just stuck on this menu mocking me because the damn controller won't work. So that is a huge ironic X against the Xbox. I'm not happy. That's very annoying. It's one thing for me to do things and stuff up the setup, and that's my fault. But when the technology is broken and, it needs a software update to fix that I can't access, that's pretty bad. Those kind of bugs should be well and truly sorted before you're shipping stuff out. Okay, so I think somehow I've accidentally turned on the Xbox One as I'm trying to pair this with my Xbox. This is really problematic. Not the console it's supposed to link to. Oh my goodness. This is driving me insane. Maybe I should just unplug Xbox One to make sure that it doesn't interfere with my signals. Maybe this is why it's been having issues. Sorry, Xbox. You're getting unplugged. So after calling in tech support, which I'm a little embarrassed that I had to do, aka calling my husband, it's working. And now, of course, the controller itself needs an update, which is kind of hilarious that there is software for the controllers. This just seems so strange to me. But we figured it out. I feel a little dumb that I was pushing the sync button on the controller but not on the actual Xbox console. So another crunchy moment for me, which is a way of saying blonde moment. Okay, I feel like I need to explain that now because in Australia we have these chocolates called crunchies where they're brown on the outside with the chocolate, but on the inside it's honeycomb. So it's like a reference to you may be a brunette, but on the inside you're like a blonde. Anyway, now that I have had to explain my joke, it's kind of ruined it. Anyways, I'm just relieved that it's updating and it's working again. I'm so bummed that I needed help. I was so determined to do it on my own, but I was at my wit's end. I was just getting so frustrated that it wasn't working. And I'm like, I'd done everything else right. See, this is the things I don't know because I've never set them up before. But now I will know for next time I've learned these things. I will be ready for the next generation in another 5 or 6 years. Huzzah. Hey, Alistair, you ready to play with the Xbox? Okay, so, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate comes with a free month. I will decide later. We'll have to make this, I guess, our home Xbox. I figured that kind of stuff should be better under Brendo's account. Here we go. Oh wow, it's even remembered my settings and pictures from the Xbox One, so that really does carry over. So this is it really feels just like a bit of an upgrade from the Xbox One, less of a brand new console altogether, where the PlayStation 5 definitely has a different feel on the menu. This looks very similar to what was already on the Xbox One. I did it! I'm so relieved. I need to eat something now. I'm so embarrassed. It's just such a dumb mistake.
Especially re-listening back to that.
Uh-huh.
And with you knowing what the end result is going to be, throwing accusations that Microsoft have given you a dodgy product.
To be fair, right, when I was looking it up, not once did I see a thing of just the sync button on the controller and the sync button on the console as a solution. And there were people that were having real issues with their controllers not working. So it could have been a legitimate thing. It just wasn't because I was dumb.
Well, you and I, married couple, obviously, we have different responsibilities in the household.
Yeah.
I usually do more of the dishes. You do more of the laundry. I do all of the controller syncing in the house, apparently.
You actually do. Usually when we're getting friends set up and stuff, like if we're playing a lot of Nintendo Switch, or if someone's brought another PlayStation or bringing extra controllers over, you're the one who gets it all set up and then starts divvying controllers out for everybody.
Yes.
So, yeah, that is kind of your thing. You joke. But legit, I've maybe once or twice in the last decade think I've had to worry about that. So I forgot, because also the PlayStation 5, I didn't have to do that.
No.
So
Magic. Sony magic included in the box.
I just assumed it would be a similar process. All the system told me in the setup process was to hold down the Xbox central button. It never said anything about pushing a little button to sync it with the actual console. So
at least the sync button on the console is within reach and not hidden somewhere like some of them are. I think the Xbox One had it on the side, and if you didn't know where it was, you'd never find it. Very, very confusing. But look, they're here, they're set up. We've been enjoying both next-gen consoles. This is going to be a monumental episode of The Gaming Lovers. Previously, you talked a little bit in the last episode about the early first hands-on impression, similar sounding word, I'm sure no one noticed, first-hand impressions of the PlayStation 5. So we're going to start off this podcast, I think, with the other side of the coin, our first experiences with the Xbox Series X. I almost said Xbox One, and then was going to correct myself to say Xbox One X, and that's not what it is either. It's the Xbox Series X.
Now that we've confused you thoroughly, we'll be back with all of our first thoughts on the new Xbox after this.
You're listening to the Gaming Lovers podcast. Want to join the conversation? Visit thegaminglovers.com. Record your comment or question by clicking on the button on the right-hand side. And you could be featured in the next podcast.
Well, I think you said it best during that whole setup debacle earlier, that the Xbox Series X is very much an upgrade of the same device that we've previously had in the Xbox One. The Series X just feels like an enhanced version of that. It's very similar. The menu is almost identical. The controller is almost identical. It literally just feels like you are playing a better Xbox One.
Yeah. Obviously, load times are super fast. That's one of the things that people obviously keep touting about both consoles. The main thing that the Xbox Series X has going for it is its vast library, and it's more about the old games that you can play on it.
Yes.
And just being able to throw in nearly any disc from your Xbox catalog and just play, but also having digital versions of a lot of old classics available on Game Pass. Like, they're really pumping that aspect of it quite hard. What the Xbox Series X kind of is suffering from, especially at the moment, especially because Halo got postponed, is the exclusive side of things.
Yes, very little, if any, games that you can only play in this generation on this console. It's basically non-existent. If you want to play some of your older games that are optimized for the Series X and you've never touched them before, or, you know, things that you've looked forward to, like Gears 5, maybe you've never played Gears 5, but you have Game Pass. Now you can play it even better than other people ever played Gears 5. Things like that. The Game Pass is what defines this console as accessible and giving people a lot of bang for their buck, but it's a different type of experience than the PS5 is. It's going to be almost a completely different category, which is so strange because for so many years we've had everyone competing the same way and just seeing who comes ahead in the race. And yet now we've got two entirely different races going on, and people are just going to see if they can cross the finish line individually.
I think one thing I find amusing is that Microsoft have essentially done what Google Stadia was setting out to do and done it so much better.
That's an interesting little thing. The Xbox is going to have xCloud, which is kind of relevant at the moment because somebody in this booth has actually been one of the official testers of that technology in Australia. Yes, we are behind the rest of the world, but I'll still take pride in it. So I have been trying out playing games like the Halo Master Chief Collection, like Gears 5, on my phone, not actually using my Xbox, but using Microsoft's servers. And from all reports, yes, indeed, Microsoft are doing the Stadia better than Google is doing the Stadia style of gaming.
I guess it's like a point of pride that Microsoft's been in the video game industry longer, significantly longer than Google has. Google is definitely the search engine behemoth, but Microsoft, I think, when it comes to gaming, still has an edge over them.
Yeah.
So that might change in this next decade. It's going to be really interesting to see how that shifts. I'm very intrigued.
Microsoft are putting all of their gaming eggs into the Game Pass itself. If you get the Game Pass Ultimate, it covers Xbox consoles, it covers PCs as well, and it covers that xCloud gaming system, setup, sequence, whatever you want to call it, that they have going as well. So that is just an all-in-one, play your games wherever you want, play them for a relatively low price to sample a lot of different things. And it means I have got a next-gen console that I can play Banjo-Kazooie and Final Fantasy VIII on, so I am set for this generation. Microsoft wins, game over.
So overall, a lot of the interface, the menu, the controller, it is very much the same as Xbox One. But what about the games?
Well, there's one segment where we talk about games that we've been playing, and that's never been more relevant than this fortnight, because it is time for Gaming Goals Series X.
We've never been more in sync.
Bunch of dorks.
Are you Justin Timberlake? Sorry. Bad joke. Moving past.
Okay, in sync. Gotcha. With the asterisk or the star or whatever it is.
Oh, we don't need to loiter on the
because that was a boy band, you see.
So, I have been predominantly playing on the new Xbox Tetris Effect.
Tetris Effect? Connected.
Yes. Now, I know technically, pretty much almost every game on Xbox Series X is not a new game.
So, of course, we've got a next-gen console, and I joked about playing Final Fantasy VIII on it, but you've decided to pick something that was created basically in 1984 by playing Tetris.
It's a classic.
But... oh, my goodness, this is the best Tetris I've ever seen.
It's Tetris on an acid trip is what it is, and it is hard to stay focused on the puzzle when you've got some trippy lights and shapes coming at you. I think I love, though, the sound design in this game is what really stands out to me. The visuals are there to distract me, but the sound design kind of helps me build a rhythm or actually build tension. There was one level I was doing where both of us were so anxious because it had just a slow drum beat building.
Like a tribal drum beat.
Yes. And damn, was it effective in making me panic. I think that was one of the few levels that I failed because the drum beat got really anxious right near the end and it was messing with me. It's like in a horror game, when they play with the music, they play with drum beats and heartbeat kind of sounds to build up your anxiety, and it worked. Very effective.
This game's visuals, you think you're playing Tetris. Oh, okay. You see screenshots. Oh, it's just Tetris with fireworks effects or whatever in the background. Who cares? You see this in action. It made my eyeballs salivate. It was phenomenal. They've never been happier. Those are happy little eyeballs watching this game.
You have strange eyeballs.
Yeah, I've been told that. But yeah, the sound is also awesome because not only when you rotate blocks and when you drop them down, somehow, through wizardry, I assume, they synchronize your actions to the music, but it's not the music synchronizing. I don't know. Which way does it even go?
It's got a backing track, so if you did nothing, it would have a very simple sound. But every move you do adds to the rhythm, and it usually blends in with the beat almost seamlessly that you don't realize that you are helping essentially compose.
Yes, perfect.
A second layer.
You're composing the music with your actions, but you're focused on the Tetris game itself, and it just seems to work so perfectly. Yeah. So, to illustrate this, we are going to do a completely unrehearsed. I'm going to be the bass track, and you're going to be the extra Tetris stuff.
Okay.
And we're just going to do a demonstration of how this
This is
sounds.
going to sound awful. I'm sorry, guys.
See, that is you've just got the Tetris Effect scenario, the whole experience there. You don't even need to play it now.
If you love Tetris, it's good. I don't know if it was worth the huge price tag that was on it originally, so I was very relieved that it was part of Game Pass.
Yes.
You know, as much as I love Tetris, it's always a classic. It's been a long time favorite. I've just grown up playing it. I understand, like, especially with the amount of effort gone into the music and visuals, that it took a lot to work, but it just was never quite worth the price tag that they had on it for the longest time. So while it's on Game Pass, if you have that, it's worth a shot if you haven't played it already.
Jem, if people can buy Call of Duty every year or two to get the same experience just with a different coat of paint, you can pay for Tetris if you need to. So forget about Tetris. Let's move on to some actual next-gen gaming experiences, because I gave on the Xbox Series X Human Fall Flat a run. And look, it's not pushing any graphical milestones ahead in human technology, but I wanted to play a game I'd already played, I'd already experienced a lot of on the Xbox One, to compare things like loading screens, which basically don't exist in this version. And my goodness me. The Xbox Series X has HDR enabled, which I'm pretty sure either I just never turned it on or my Xbox One baseline didn't have the ability to do HDR. Maybe like the Xbox One X did and the S did, but I don't think our base one did. So when I'm playing a game that I'm used to seeing sort of half-muted colour palettes on, and then myself and Fatty Bin, my Human Fall Flat cohort, we do the new golf and city levels and had a blast with them. The golf levels, she could not get over how green the greens looked. Like the neon green was blindingly beautiful.
I heard that a lot of people were saying that about old games, even just putting in discs of, like, you know, Fallout New Vegas and it having stronger, more depth of colour and I guess making it look more crisp, even though it wasn't necessarily, you know, 4K or any stretch of the imagination. It still made an old game look better because of the engine that it's running on.
It's pretty good. Now, I have downplayed the importance of backwards compatibility across these two generations that are up, like the ones we're in and the one we just left.
Yeah.
I love backwards compatibility, but I thought, well, it's just going to run the same. I found on the Xbox One X, the Xbox Series X, I hate you, Microsoft.
This convoluted naming.
I have found on the Series X that every older game I have tried has looked poppin'. Is that a fair adjective? Because
Poppin'?
It's my happy eyeballs. I mean, they were poppin'. So Human Fall Flat got a run. We were a little frustrated because two of the achievements we saw had 0% success rate. And we thought, we could be the first people to ever get these. Then we realised why they had a 0% success rate, because they're glitched. So that's frustrating.
Very.
But overall, Human Fall Flat was a better experience, I can officially say, on the Series X than it was ever on the Xbox One.
I know what I should play next then.
What's that?
Mass Effect.
Which is included in the Game Pass thanks to the EA Access benefits.
Part of me is like, is there much point though in revisiting it when the legendary remastered trilogy is on its way?
Put it this way, this may be your last chance to actually experience classic Mass Effect.
True.
Ever.
Hopefully they make improvements and not ruin it.
And don't do a Silent Hill remaster where they just made it worse.
How is that possible? Anyways.
Ridiculous. So, moving on, I haven't actually spent too much time playing Series X games, but I did download and play Forza Horizon 4 for a little bit, because I've mentioned this on the podcast before. There are very few games that give you the wow factor when you get a new console generation than racing games.
Yep.
They are usually very focused in what they are doing.
Yep.
which
Mario
means-
Kart is just perfect
Oh
for
my
showing off the
goodness.
graphics.
You would not believe the rainbow road effects they can do this gen. It's amazing.
Sorry.
But car racing games. From my original Xbox, I got Project Gotham Racing just because it made my TV and new console look like it was worth the money. Because I'm like, look at these graphics, it's amazing. So I did the same with Forza Horizon. Thankfully, didn't have to pay anything for it because, again, included in Game Pass.
Yep.
All the games we played, either we already previously bought or are on Game Pass. So that is a difference between the Series X and the PS5. But it was drop dead gorgeous. And I wanted to ensure the frame rate was silky smooth, which it was. The weather effects looked awesome. Overall, my little experience with that was pretty nice. I thought it looked drop dead gorgeous.
It did. One thing, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, the Microsoft, like the Game Pass, we got some free months included with the brand new console, right? It's like part of the promotion. I think for a lot of people that got in early, get at least one free month to trial and basically test out Game Pass.
Yep.
I don't think PlayStation did that.
No.
PlayStation Plus.
No freebies for you.
No. It's interesting.
You bought your giant white monolith for your console room.
They did have, however, Astro's Playroom, which is a free game.
What's the better deal?
As far as value,
We'll get to that in a
one
second.
could argue, yeah.
Yeah, Microsoft are very prone to just throwing out free months of Game Pass, which is awesome. I mean, we've bought a external hard drive to store some of these older games on.
Yes.
They won't be able to run the perfect Series X versions, but to play older stuff on.
Yeah.
And if you buy the Xbox branded ones, have 2 free months of Game Pass. You buy a game, it might have 7 days of Game Pass. There's a lot of free Game Pass. So if you have not tried Game Pass, give it a little spin. You may be surprised.
And honestly, I think in this day and age where most of us are used to consuming media now on demand with monthly subscriptions like Netflix and the like, this does feel like where gaming is going, where more and more like physical copies are going to become unicorns. And I feel like eventually, like in maybe a decade or so, they might be pretty much obsolete. Collector's items.
As data transfer gets quicker and quicker
Yep.
over the internets,
When are we getting that in Australia again?
I think that optical media will be bye-bye. But
It's strange when you can kind of sense the end is near for certain technology as it starts to phase out. I remember as, you know, USBs kind of started to kick off and it was so expensive to get like a 2 gig USB stick. And like when I was in TAFE studying for my diploma of broadcasting, a lot of my audio would get recorded on mini discs. Tiny, like, you know, 100 megabytes. Wow. So much storage. And then you'd see like something that has, 2 gigabytes on a USB. And so mini discs and things like that and are just so superseded to the point where kids just think that those floppy disks and the like are just save icons that they see in video games.
Sidebar.
Yeah. From my
Your
side.
broadcasting thing was a diploma.
Yes. Why?
Well, I've paid no attention to this until the previous 3 weeks where I've been studying it, but it outranks my certificate 4.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I have 2 certificate 4s. That makes me an 8.
Yes, certificates are usually much smaller studies,
Wow.
and a diploma is at least a year. But it's not like a bachelor or anything. There's so many funny, weird terminologies for all this stuff.
Well, I'm going to be a doctorate. So,
That's going to take you a bit of time then.
okay. Let's move on to something that's actually... We're going to be talking about the lack of physical games in episode 561 in 10 years' time when Jem's prediction comes true. But for now, we do have some physical games because we bought some PS4 and some PS5 games to play on our PS5. So we should do another edition of... Gaming Goes PlayStation. I love that, the way it says that on those ads. Perfect. Now, there has proportionally been a lot more hours pumped into the PS5
For sure.
than the Xbox Series X. Part of that because the Series X showed up partway through the previous fortnight.
Well, yes, it did arrive earlier, so that makes sense. It also had Bugsnax.
So before we even put in any discs, we had a free game built into it. We had a free game on PS Plus, and I have been greatly enjoying both of those. So shall we start with those two games? Astro's Playroom.
We covered that a little bit last episode.
You covered that last episode. May I just say, Astro's Playroom, what I expected to be just nothing more than just a tech demo. And tech demos are never fun. This may be in contention for the Golden Smoochie of 2020, which is the most tainted Golden Smoochie of history, being 2020. But it's been a very bright spark in my life in the past few weeks.
It was a lot of fun. I went back to it because from last week's episode, you might remember, I gave up on it early because it was a platforming game and I suck at platforming games. Brendo convinced me to give it another go. And so I picked up the DualSense controller and had a lot of fun. I think I really love when you're walking through different terrains. So whether it's muddy or grassy or it's water and it's raining, like those things that you can feel in the controller were just so subtly perfect.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful illustrations. And it's going to be really interesting to see how then developers will take and utilize it in their games as they then release or plan to release them on the PlayStation 5.
Yes. So not every game is going to have this level of focus put into the features of the controller, but I absolutely, every area I went into in Astro's Playroom, I had a smile on my face and I had just pure fun. And sometimes I've played The Last of Us Part 2 this year. That game was not fun.
No.
There was not anything fun in that game. So playing a game that gave me that much joy and satisfaction and just happiness as I am reliving 25 years of PlayStation memories because all the little homages that are
So good.
in this game. You've got Bloodborne. This little Astrobot's like dressed up like the guy from Bloodborne. This little dude's in Ape Escape. This is Vib Ribbon, which I haven't thought about in 20 years, like legitimately. Parappa the Rapper. We've got Crash Bandicoot. We've got Spyro the Dragon. Even, like, that's what blew my mind. I expected things like Horizon Zero Dawn,
Yep.
God of War,
Yep.
Sony owned, we still have them, they're ours, nobody touches them. But any major series that made an impact at any point in the PlayStation history, like Tomb Raider, which started off exclusively on PlayStation and then went everywhere,
Yep.
onto every device known to man. And like Crash Bandicoot, who I don't think Sony can even get their rights to the games these days because they sold them off years ago. These things, they're still integral in Sony's history. And to see them in the game warmed my heart.
Did you have a favourite? Like one that made you like go, that's brilliant the way that they've done this.
I did like Sly Cooper, who, when you get close to him, he goes and hides in the safe because he wants to be sneaky.
I really loved seeing Ratchet and Clank because you got like the mini Astrobot on the back. I thought that was really cute.
Oh, man. Every time I saw one of those little cameramen pointing, I'm like, oh, here we go. What is it this time? And there was only like legitimately 2, maybe 3 over the whole game that I didn't actually get the reference of. And one of them was actually Demon's Souls, which I then got later in the week when I re-saw it. And I went, hey, I've seen this now. I know what this is. So that was nice. Man, but that's all this. You can hear it in my voice, the enthusiasm, the excitement.
Yep.
I adored this game. And that's not even mentioning the GPU song from the jungle level, which has been on loop, not only in my head, but also on my media devices. Incredible. Incredible.
And I do it for you.
So good.
Very
So
catchy.
good. Now, shall we actually fulfill our destiny? This podcast destiny over the past year. And shall we talk about Bugsnax?
We shall. Swabble.
First, all right, let's talk about the strabby in the room here. Is it Pokemon infringement to have the Bugsnax only be able to say their own Bugsnacky name?
No.
No?
Because there's so many other knockoffs of Pokemon over the years, so that take different elements from that series.
Okay, good.
And if an element works, then why not?
Yeah, cool. Because I really adore the way the honeybees say their name. Honeybee. It's cute. Cinestale.
I think for me, the fact that you've got the Grumpuses transmogrifying every time that they consume a bug snack, that is such a unique element that, yes, there are certain things that do remind me of like Pokemon, especially Pokemon Snap with taking photos and documenting these creatures, but, you know, it's still quite individual enough that you wouldn't be able to, like, very reasonably argue copyright infringement.
Yep. So when Bugsnax was first shown at one of the big PS5 reveals, and we had all these big franchise names that we all knew, we all expected were going to be present this console generation, and this friggin' weird trailer shows up with these Muppet-looking things eating creatures that are crawling around made of food.
With a female Steve Irwin describing the Bugsnax.
Absolutely perfect. And we got this catchy song, and everyone's like, oh, this is hilarious. This is a lovely little meme-y game. This is going to be terrible, but it's already made its impact. Well done. I didn't know what I was expecting when I walked into Bugsnax, but it was not what I experienced, because Bugsnax was an amazing experience start to finish. I platinumed it. That's how much I enjoyed it. And I was expecting nothing more than a Viva Pinata crosses with Pokemon Snap. And my goodness, I got the whirlwind of emotions all across the spectrum. And it was a much deeper game than I expected.
So which side are you on?
Oh.
Because there's a bit of division amongst the fandom of, is it right to eat Bugsnax or is it ethically wrong? Should they're creatures, should they be looked after? And, I've forgotten his name. Teddy from Persona 4.
Gramble.
Sam Riegel.
My love for you is true. That's my wiggle bottom experience.
Voice actor Sam Riegel's iconic and very identifiable voice, playing kind of like, I guess, a vegan-esque kind of character in the series, wants to protect all the Bugsnax and people keep stealing them from his ranch, which seems a bit evil.
There's not much else to eat on the island,
Yes.
which does... See, this is just it. I didn't expect moral dilemmas to be a factor in Bugsnax.
In a kiddie game.
There is not much else to eat.
Yes.
Except for ketchup on this island.
Or chocolate sauce.
Chocolate sauce.
There's my diet.
I say this with a legitimate claim when I say this. This is no hyperbole. I'll say it properly for your benefit. This is not out of proportion silliness for the podcast. Bugsnax featured one of the most complex moral choices I have ever faced in video gaming. And I had to sit and legitimately think, no, I know what I have to do because I want the trophy, but oh gosh, should I actually do it? I don't know. There's just one trophy that I knew I had to do something to get. It did not feel like the right thing to do. And most of the time when there's a trophy being dangled in front of me, I'm like, stuff morals. Red Dead Redemption, I'll just tie someone to the train track and watch them get squished.
Not something that you would normally...
No, because I'm a train driver. It's not what I want to see, but there was an achievement for it. Now when it came to Bugsnax, my goodness, I felt so dirty after I did a certain action in that game. I felt like I just was a monster. So I won't give away what it is because I want people to suffer like I did. But my goodness, I enjoyed every character in Bugsnax. I enjoyed all their character arcs, all the conflicts that happened, and everyone has a valid point that they're trying to argue when they start butting heads, and you think, maybe I indeed would also get a cactus as a replacement wife if my wife left me for some reason.
She's a bit prickly, though.
She is a bit prickly. Bugsnax is amazing. Don't discount it based off its looks. It's actually a lot of fun. I liked the cerebral aspect as well, as I do in any game. Most games I enjoy if they make me think.
Yeah, a lot of interesting puzzles of trying to figure out how to get each Bugsnax. Not all of them can be trapped. Some you kind of have to lure with other Bugsnax too. It's interesting, the interplay.
Combinations of traps going, and you got to, all right, I'm going to trick this Bugsnax into running into this one, which will make it lose its ice. So then I can get it, but then it still needs to get smashed. So how do I smash it? Then I can catch it. So there's like all these different steps for some of them. The boss fights are fairly linear because you can't die in this game.
Yeah.
So if you can't figure out what to do, you're just going to be stuck in that arena forever, apparently. But
the beauty of the PlayStation 5, if you really are stuck with things, you can press the PlayStation button, bring up that little video menu at the bottom, and there will be helpful tips and quick links to help guide you through. So instead of getting your phone out or something to go on YouTube to find a guide, they've built that into it, which I think is a really genius feature and one I haven't had to use yet.
Well, I actually... I didn't really need that much for Bugsnax, but I did use it. I wanted to test it out a little bit. So I used it to get some of my collectibles for Astro's Playroom. And it worked like a dream. If I was missing 3 collectibles on a level, I would just go to that level, go to the hint, and it would show me where one is. And I'd go and collect that in the game. And then I'd go to that exact same place, and it would know which ones I've got, and it moved the video to the next one that I had to get. Very clever, very cool.
And a benefit, too, of the super fast load times. You know, you can get in and out from watching those videos and then straight back into the action. Like, I think I'm so used to long load times that it's kind of... I'm like, all right, I'll get this started up and now I'll go putter around, get a drink and get myself sorted. And I'm like, oh no, it's already started. No.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Well, there has also been a few other games being played, but we haven't gotten very far in those yet.
Yeah.
So we're going to save those for next podcast. But as it is, I've put plenty of hours into Astros. I've got the Platinum Trophy for that. I've played plenty of hours into Bugsnax. I got the Platinum Trophy for that. Jem has been doing a little sampling of all these things like she's at a gaming buffet. We're having a great time with this generation. And that, I think, is our gaming goals update for this episode. 2 little pocket-sized gaming goals for you.
Yes. We'll be back with what is coming up next after this.
Share the love. Follow us on Twitter at BrendoGem. That's BrendoJem.
All right, well, now that the dust has settled and the 2 colossal meteorites of the Xbox Series X and the PS5 have landed in our ecosystem, we need to decide what is going to be getting our focus in the next 2 weeks. And sing hallelujah, I am clear of my homework and assessments that have been plaguing me for this past 3-week span. I've been miserable. I've been busy. I've been sustained on a lot of caffeine. And now that is done and dusted for the time being. I can enjoy my evenings to their fullest potential. So, as it stands, my number 1 priority at the moment is Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PS5.
Nice.
I enjoyed the first little bit that I've done of that. It runs silky, buttery smooth on this PS5. It is gorgeous. It is fun. I came into this game knowing basically nothing about Miles Morales himself. And within the short time I've spent with this game, I really like him as a character. So that is always a plus when the person you're playing as is likable.
Yes. There's nothing worse, though, than like being forced to play as a protagonist that you just don't click or gel with. You know, it's one thing if you're playing as a villain and you're not supposed to necessarily like them.
Yeah.
But if they're supposed to be a relatable person and they just bug you, it can really ruin the whole experience. So I think I'm so glad that Miles has got his story and that they've got that continuation, especially too with like Into the Spider-Verse. Like
he's at
getting
the
more recognition.
More than he's ever been.
Exactly, and deservedly so. So, you know, the Spider-Man comics are one of the few that I got into from a younger age. So seeing characters that some people didn't even know existed kind of come to life and thrive now in this generation of what feels like a decade of just superhero content, really. I'm really, really grateful that some of these like more underground-ish names are becoming mainstream.
And look, at some point, and we did not even notice when it happened, but your feedback was heard by Insomniac Games, and they have added a difficulty easier than the quote-unquote easy difficulty, which even I attest on the original Spider-Man was not easy. Friendly difficulty was not friendly.
No.
So they have added the friendly neighborhood difficulty.
Yay, baby
where
levels.
I don't think you can even get knocked out in combat at all.
Huzzah.
Which for a game that I wanted you to play, and even I had to admit, this is difficult. This is a difficult game for combat. You stuff up 2 times, you're dead.
Mm-hmm. Which makes sense as far as it being a bit more realistic because, well, I mean, he has some pretty awesome super enhanced abilities, but he's still
Squishy.
a squishy, scrawny guy for the most part. Yeah. When I'm playing video games, I am playing to escape and not really necessarily looking for realism. So I'm going to take the easy way. And I know that really bugs people, especially when you've got those that love things like Dark Souls and there's so many people that are like, yes, hardest difficulty possible, or it's not really playing the game properly. I am like the polar opposite to that. And I know that really bugs people, but that's me. So sorry, guys.
Well, let's lean into that. The other game on my to-do list at the moment is Demon Souls, which is getting rave reviews. Everyone is absolutely adoring this.
Beautiful graphics.
The graphics are phenomenal. The gameplay is a classic from a couple of generations ago.
Yes.
But it's been my wonderful experience to play this with the headphones on, experiencing some of that 3D audio that PS5 can deliver, and I felt like I had a dragon scratching at the back of my neck because it felt so real. So it raised the tension a bit more than even Tetris Effect did.
Yep.
I haven't got all that far in this game either, which is why I haven't given you the full review just yet. We'll save that for next podcast, where I'll be like one area ahead of where I am now because I make no progress. But speaking of moral dilemmas, there is a glitch available where you can one-shot anything, including bosses, and I don't want to use it, but
it's
the
very
temptation is there when you die in the same area 5 times. But I will not do that. I will not cheapen myself to that level, or at least I will not let anyone know that I have.
It would be hard not to, especially with a game that is as frustrating as Demon Souls. So we'll see how long it takes for you to cave. I think that's it for... Oh, wait.
What are you
outside
playing?
of...
We need to know what you're playing, Jim.
Well, I'm still finishing off Persona 5 Royal on the PlayStation 4. Old gen, I know. And then I've started Bugsnax, so depending on my mood and if I can handle the first person, it has made me slightly nauseous, so I can't play it in big bursts.
We're going to experiment with the field of view slider and see if that makes a difference, because a lot of people say they can't play first-person games unless they adjust that. So we'll give it a try and see if it helps out.
Yeah, we'll have a go. And I probably will play some more Tetris because I am having fun completely blowing my mind and stressing myself out with the rhythmic music.
And completely annihilating your husband in head-to-head competition whenever we play Tetris against each other.
Just at least you know you're the better platformer, love. So it's just Tetris or fighting games or racing games.
We do not have to keep elaborating on this point. That's all the time we have. We will be back next fortnight with another update of next-gen delicious goodness. Only if you have the next-gen upgrade of the Gaming Lovers podcast, which is not a real thing, so don't get confused. It's just a joke.
Is there a next gem?
There better not be. I like the current one. Chowski!
Sayonara.
Thanks for listening to the Gaming Lovers Podcast. For more episodes or to watch some live stream gaming, visit thegaminglovers.com.